Report for Delectables Catering and Cakes. Just to give you a little bit of history, prior to this project, I used to run this own private Delectables Catering Cakes in Boise, where I made a number of wedding cakes on a regular basis. And so I thought by starting it back up in Rexburg, which is the town of marriage, with my portfolio and my customer recommendations, I would easily be able to find a lot of customers. And the whole concept of Delectables Catering and Cakes is I offer gourmet and artisanal cakes that have a lot of little handcrafted touches on them that you can't find at your typical bakery. And then I also do a lot of buffet-style appetizers and meals that are a bit more upscale than your typical catering company, and it's a little more classier, which requires more work, but the quality of it is much more. However, for purposes of this project and my availability for time, because I'm going to school full-time, I decided just to take cake orders and hopefully be able to go from there. So initially, my capital, I only needed less than $20, simply because I just had to replenish my piping bags and my parchment paper. I had all the other supplies. I have all the cakes. Or cake pans. I have all the frosting tips, so that wasn't an issue. And my family easily gave me that $20 because they've seen my cakes and they were confident I'd be able to pay them back no problem. I also required that all my customers make a deposit of an ingredient estimate that I make beforehand. That way, if for some reason they can't pay at the end, at least I'm not out any money. So for advertising, I went a simple route. I decided just to utilize Facebook and word of mouth. I have a lot of friends on Facebook from Rexburg, and I asked for their help, and people were tagging me in different posts and kind of putting my name out there to see for people who needed cakes, which I was truly grateful for. However, things were going rather slowly, and then out of nowhere, I got some additional advertising. I was randomly selected to be spotlighted by the Standard Journal for my cakes and my food experience, and I thought, yes, this is the perfect opportunity to get my name out there in a city that doesn't know me very well. And I took the opportunity also to do some more advertising on Facebook. I needed to make a cake for the photo shoot, and so I offered this cake to be free for somebody who needed it, and I ended up being contacted by a friend of mine who wanted to send a cake to a woman who just lost her second husband to brain cancer. It was really sad, but she helped me design the cake, and so the cake worked well for the photo shoot, and then she got the cake for free. And on top of that, not only did she give me an unexpected tip, which I was truly grateful for, but I also got some additional customers. I had some people who wanted the free cake, but when I turned them down, they said, well, I need to have a birthday cake for this day, or I need to have this for this day, a baptism cake, so can you make this? And it ended up working out much better than I expected. However, progress was still going slow. I wasn't quite to my $100 yet, and so I started to offer some additional services. I made some cupcakes for a baby shower, some toppers. I also made some bread and some homemade pastries that people paid me a small amount for. However, it was adding up slowly. And so overall, my profit, since all of the cost of ingredients were paid for prior to the cake being made, my overall net profit was $105, and about 50%, if not a little bit more, was actually from tips. People would pay me for my services, and then they would give me a tip, which I was very appreciative of, and that typically happens in most cases here and then also in Boise. And though this is not a monetary profit, I also booked a lot of cakes for the future, so that made it quite beneficial. But overall, the project taught me a lot of lessons. First of all, I don't think it's worth it to make cakes in a college town just because of the amount of labor invested. Well, at least my type of cakes with all the crafted decorations. College students can't pay as much as I would be paid for, say, in Boise or another big city, and so that was difficult. And then I think if I were to price my handcrafted flowers beforehand, if people wanted 10 roses, they would know it would cost a certain amount because the flowers take me so long, and I typically just include it in the whole price, which is not very business savvy. And then most people also order cakes 3 to 4 months in advance. I knew this. I guess I didn't take it into consideration for this project, and so I had a hard time finding customers that needed cakes in short notice. I also realized going to school full-time and running a business is positively exhausting. I did a lot of all-nighters that absolutely killed me, and every entrepreneur I've talked to has said, finish school, focus on school, and then run a business after, and I couldn't agree more after this experience. I hope to open my own catering and cake decorating company in the future in a certified kitchen, but while going to school, I don't think it will be possible. This semester tried me, but it was a wonderful experience. Thank you.